the best standards of living in that country. And Muammar Gaddafi was also a leader of Pan-Africanism, and they had a mark on his head for a long time. The guy he made some mistakes, I admit that, but he was an admirable person. And the other thing I'd like you to touch upon is the situation of what is going on in Syria. They're trying to destroy a country with paid mercenaries funded by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, using U.S. weapons. But you wouldn't know that from any of the much of the analysis that you are exposed to in the U.S. media. So I would like you to touch on those two issues. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your being a guest today. Come on.
Definitely.
I'm 52 years old, and I'm not going to vote, and I would encourage other people to not vote. Voting changes nothing. It just reinforces the projected legitimacy of this system, where people are getting poorer, they have no voice, everything's getting worse. And the voting thing is a total sham. The only thing that ever changes anything are movements. So like when you say, hey, everybody get involved, look, if there's no movement structure for people to get involved in, everything just gets worse. Everything's the same. And it's not your responsibility. You have no compunction to start a movement. What it has to come from are people that just can't live like this anymore, where everything just gets worse. We get the same rhetoric from people. Cycle after cycle. The last thing that the powers that be want to happen are for people to develop movements. And they destroyed the Black Panthers. They vilified them, and they were successful at that. And that was a genuine, bona fide movement. They destroyed it.
But I think here's the historical context. I think that I respect everybody's opinion. I really do. But I think that one of the things that you have to keep in mind, Jonathan, is the fact that the Black Panther Party itself was just that. It was a political party. It was a movement that actually was birthed from the concept of voting for the fight for equality. As a matter of fact, many of the Black Panthers started out fighting for the right for people to vote. That's what actually started the movement from that standpoint. And so when you start looking at the issue, listen, everything they fought, these people marched on the state capitol in California. These people talk about voting for the right to do what? Bear arms. These people fought for these rights. So when you say, these movements are people don't want to see movements, you're right. People don't want to see movements because they would rather not see it. They'd rather see you voting and not have to go into that. But movements are sparked based off of how people vote. They're sparked based off of what you want to see happen, transformation in communities. It is sparked off your involvement. Voting is a matter of your involvement. It is not something we cannot continue to think. And I'm so sorry that it's again, I say I respect people's opinion, but the one thing that I cannot stand by and allow is to just allow the narrative that you just gave on this show to go uncontested or unchallenged. I challenge that narrative with historical context and historical fact. You just point out the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers did in fact have members, a majority of the members actually fought for the right to vote, for the right for them to go out and challenge laws. And it was the impetus for other movements that came out of it. The Red Cloud movement, the Latino movement, the Chicano movements. So when you talk about the right to vote and not going out to vote and urging people not to vote, you're actually disgracing the memory.
What I gathered from what Jonathan said is that he seems to be a little disenchanted, as many people are, for millions of people that vote but are not a part of a movement. And in other words, I also heard him basically say, if you're going to vote
for Hillary Clinton, because she destroyed one of the best African leaders that ever existed by the name of Muammar Gaddafi, and they destroyed Libya. They used terrorists from there, shipped them over to Syria, and right now they're trying to destroy a secular government where you can be Christian, you can be Shia, you can be Sunni. Everybody is equal under the law in Syria. Obama and Clinton have been supporting jihadist terror in Syria for years, and you guys hardly say anything about it. The African American commentators and the leadership, basically, back Obama and Clinton with their propaganda as well. And you want us to honor Stephen Biko. Well, if we don't learn from history and use critical thinking to events that are going on today, we're doomed. And this brings me to why I attended a Trump rally the other night in Orlando, Florida. I went to support Donald Trump, not because he called out Clinton and Obama on supporting terrorists to destroy Syria. And
feel free to call back. Sorry for the disconnection. But did you want to speak to what he was saying, Walter, or Jamal?
Well, yeah, real quick, I just wanted to chime in. I hear a lot of people who they couldn't vote for Hillary, can't vote for Hillary. And my question is, then, if you can't vote for Hillary and because of your personal views, but you really dislike Trump, then when Trump gets in office, what did you kind of expect to happen? Because I would look at things like, no one's perfect. Jesus is never going to be a candidate. Or if someone is Muslim, Allah's not going to be a candidate. You're not going to ever get a candidate which oh my goodness, this is the best candidate ever. So you're always going to have things you like and dislike about the candidate. Now granted, Jonathan, I know with his Pan-African background and with Muammar Gaddafi, that's a very strong statement, but
Jonathan, you're on the air. Did you want to restate what you said?
Yes, I do, but I want to point out something real quick. Hillary Clinton and Obama have been supporting terrorists to destroy Syria. I've got many, many friends in Syria that have suffered from these jihadists. Now, what's more dangerous, Donald Trump tweeting about China, a little blurb about China, or the years of supporting jihadist terrorists, giving them weapons and money and support to destroy Syria?
But Jonathan,
before you complete that statement, Jonathan, I want you to recall what happened at the beginning of the fighting in Syria.
wmnf, Tampa.
The truth of the matter in Syria is that it did not start out with jihadists. It started out actually with rebels that were fighting against Assad's government. And then what happened was jihadists, if you want to call them jihadists, took advantage of that window of opportunity that they did throughout the Islamic world in various areas, and infiltrated the rebel groups, and actually that's where that came from. Now, and that's what was reported.
Hillary, listen, every state, we're going to have international law. Hillary with weapons in Libya, and then she supported transporting those weapons and jihadists from Libya into Syria. So from the very start of this, there were protests, but it was from the very start co-opted by the jihadists, supported by the United States, toward the goal of regime change, illegal, and they have had no shame in using Al-Qaeda terrorists for years in Syria that are murdering the friends of my family, the families of my friends in Syria. So I take this very personally, and I take very personally the propaganda that people like you internalize and then distort to your listenership here. Okay?
I'm glad you take it personally, John, but first of all, let me make you make something very clear to you, my friend. I don't internalize and spit out garbage, first of all. And I certainly do not want to insult or hurt or anything like that. That's not my intention. But of course, and understand, I make no apologies for the information I put out, because the information that I just gave you was true. infiltrated the rebels, the freedom fighters, the real freedom fighters of this country. They do exist. So just because what you call jihadists, I understand that. Now, you can probably say that about some of them, what you call these groups that now have gone in and they're fighting, and you have people that are in the middle of crossfire between government entities or government and the jihadists. But in the midst of that are real rebels who are fighting for their lives and for the people of this country. So now whether or not they were, what my understanding of it was, and what was reported was, they were supporting the rebels, not the jihadists. The supporters for the rebels. These are freedom fighters originally. And this is not uncommon. This is not uncommon. Do I feel badly for the people in Syria? Heck yes, of course I do. Every day of my life I've seen it. And I've seen it before. And I've seen it on the news. I've seen it before firsthand in other countries. But I'm trying to tell you right now, I don't recall there being an outright, anything outright that said, President Obama or Hillary Clinton or any of these people actually gave money to jihadists. Or Al-Qaeda, funded Al-Qaeda for these things. No.
And real quick, Jonathan, you still on the line, Jonathan?
Yes, Jonathan is on the line. Jonathan?
Yeah, Jonathan, this is Attorney Jamal Chapman from the Urban Cafe, also filling in. And I think an issue that I think you may have is just U.S. foreign policy in general. I don't think no matter who the president is, that's going to change the way that we operate.
No, I disagree. I disagree vehemently.
Okay.
Because Obama and Clinton made a decision to break international law and support what they knew were actual terrorists, and they're doing it with the Saudis and the Qataris.
But when
They want to overthrow a secular government totally against international law, using jihadist terrorists to destroy. That's what the whole game plan was in Aleppo.
My question was, in the U.S. history, and all presidents, they've been doing that through our history. That's America. That's American history.
Yes, American
what goes
foreign
on in Nicaragua,
policy.
what goes on. So the issue, I think, is with foreign policy in general. Donald Trump being president, I guarantee you he's not going to change the history of U.S. presence in their foreign policy. He's not going to change.
What he's going to do, he's going to stop supporting these so-called rebels. He's going to cooperate with Russia. Now, let me be very clear. Any of you guys that supported these so-called rebels in Syria, thinking you're backing freedom fighters, you know what? You guys have lost. The whole Syria little scam.
Well, real quick, Jonathan. When you say we support it, it's not me. I'm not a president. I'm not a foreign diplomat. I'm just.
How many times did I hear commentators on your station? How many times did I hear you guys call Gaddafi a dictator? You guys were down with that overthrow.
I've never said that.
No, you never heard me say that.
That was never said on the Sunday Forum. That may have been a different show.
No, it was the other guy that was there. That's there, the guy with the radical. Oh my God, I forget his name. He's been there for years, and I called him on it. Then he cut me off, of course. But I want to get back to why I supported Trump at this rally the other day. I've never voted for Republicans. Didn't vote for Trump. But what I saw when Hillary Clinton started coming out, making a speech about, we have all of this fake news now. And then it seems pretty clear that their last gasp, their strategy is to throw these electors, 37 of them, because she is a megalomaniac, she's a vile person, and they're trying to rob Trump's legitimate victory. Again, I didn't vote for him, but I just saw this as so slimy that I had to go to that rally and support people that are supporting Trump on the matter of principle.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jonathan, for your comments. We don't normally have callers speak that long, but you were quite engaging, and we do thank you for your comments.
And coming in and making, I respect everybody's opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. Be careful when you come on to this show. Be very careful when you call in here. And you start making accusations about what
opinions, but we do have to have respect both ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They go in there and they identify the people with the grievances, they get the signs made, they say the stuff, and they get people riled up.
But my question is, are you more agitated about the shooting itself rather than the protesters?
Of the police brutalities.
So here's a question, then we gotta go on. So Black Lives Matter
Is the problem?
is the problem? Is that what you're saying? Is that one of the problems? Is it
They're
organization?
getting major funding from these Ford Foundation surrogates, these what do they call it? Liberation theology. I mean, these are real things that are happening. They're trying to get us at each other's throat. It's a divisive tactic. And that's why what Chris said earlier, get a representative from the police on there. Yeah, let's get them on and talk about it. But let's also talk about this no hesitation training, the militarization of the police. You see, they're funding, this is Hegelian dialectic, guys. There's a thesis and antithesis and a synthesis. They're funding both sides of this, and they're trying to put us towards a police state that's not federally run, but it's run by the UN. They want the Strong Cities Initiative. They want the UN to be running this stuff. Listen, guys, you got to realize this. It's legitimate. Yes, the police are bad, but these agitators, they're steering us and the police, the higher up echelons of the police, and these foundations that are funding all this stuff and that are paying for the training on both sides, they are channeling us to...
Thank you for calling.
And I went door to door. I was involved. I was involved with a lot of my time, and I felt kind of dumb for doing it because I kind of know that really we do have an oligarchy. We call ourselves a democracy repeatedly. That's all bull crap. It's the people that have the money that really direct the policies in our country, and it's been like that, before I was born. And so I went door to door, and then we had a little group that said, hey, you know what? We should go meet every week and just decide to become involved because like Obama said, it's really up to us because like Obama said, it's really up to us because like Obama said, it's really up to us, the little people, to push him to do anything, right? So I go to these meetings and I'm like, man, we need to organize, we need to get Obama to raise the minimum wage. And these three other people I'm meeting with looked at me like I had three eyes, and it is evident that they didn't want to do jack to actually push any policy. I'm a working class person. I do very hard, dirty work. But these other people, they were kind of professional types. They got Obama elected. They pat themselves on the back, and they went back to sleep. And after 3 meetings every week, the whole group dissolved. That to me epitomizes why we are where we're at this particular juncture in our country. And as far as and I was also something that I learned a lot about myself. I was looking at these websites and looking at these intellectuals and believing them. And then when I started looking at all this anti-Putin stuff. Well, it wasn't until I started investigating outside of these intellectuals on the liberal progressive, and I thought, wait, they're not really telling the whole truth about this guy and why he is so beloved, and what we have been doing with NATO to keep aggressing and threatening Russia for all these years. They hate Putin because Putin messed up their little race game they had going on after the Soviet Union fell. That's just another example. So here I am. I'm one of these people you guys just put down a few minutes ago that, I decided to bow out and not vote in this election cycle because Hillary Clinton is supporting terrorists that are attacking my friends in Syria. She was behind the coup in Ukraine that caused a fascist government, a junta, illegal government to come to power, and then it started attacking my friends who are ethnic Russians in the Donbass region, the eastern region of Ukraine, and we're behind it. We are behind destroying democracy in Ukraine. So we get all of these lies, and here we are at this point to where I wanted Trump to win, even though I did vote. I really wanted him to win over Hillary because of my friends overseas being attacked by jihadists in real Al-Qaeda terrorists. in Syria, and then what happened in Ukraine, and what happened in Libya. There is no way I could ever support Clinton, and because I have so many gay, lesbian, black friends that I didn't have time to like debate him. I could come out and be a Trump supporter, but here's the point I wanted to make though. As I started looking at Trump, what I kind of realized is this: he's a human being. He was born with a silver spoon. But is he really evil? Is he really the kind of evil that all these people kind of gin up stuff about? And my conclusion is no. I think he does want the best for our country. But we have these intellectual people that they make their living on ginning up the hate, having everybody be against them. And then, but here's the point I'm saying though.
Okay. We got to take some other calls right now. So, just give us a few minutes to actually address that. I want to thank you for your call, and because you said a lot there. At some point, you know this is the United States of America. If you live in the United States of America, I'll tell you what, you're probably doing better than 80% of the world's population.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's not enough to throw the baby out with the bathwater. This is a great country. And it takes people from immigrants to actually tell you that, to remind you what a great country this is. But, people...
Let's Make America Great Again was not intended for us.
Exactly.
Not intended for us.
Exactly.
Not intended for us.
Exactly. But I'll leave it there because we have a lot of.
I think what you're saying is absolutely right. You said it before, so anyway.
But I'll leave it there because we have a lot of.
I think what you're saying is absolutely right. You said it before, so anyway. Yeah, let's go ahead and take this call.
Yes, next on the air we have Frank from Largo.
Frank, what's happening? Welcome to the Sunday Forum.
Good morning.
Hey,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey, that's where I was calling up to wish you, Walter, and your crew a Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, man.
And I have a little message for everybody.
All right.
Okay, so the message is this. For this new year and beyond, and it's kind of in question who this quote is attributed to, but it remains true nonetheless. It's the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So, hey everyone, have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man.
Take very personally the propaganda that people like you internalize and then distort to your listenership here. You know what? You guys are long.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Disabled veteran. Okay. This was my sign, which I tried to get earlier. You've probably seen it. Why does the government pay for sex changes and won't fully compensate rape, sodomized, and rape veterans?
All right.
That's me. I didn't make it to lunch. Documented in my military.
What's the back of it say?
My Supreme Court case, which the justices decide this September 26th. If they'll let me argue retroactive pay back to the time of discharge. I filed my claim in 2010, but the VA says we're not going to pay you retroactive pay unless you file a claim within 1 year after your discharge. My argument is, how could I file a claim? First when I'm sodomized and raped and reported, and it's documented in when I went down to the medical, I still had grease in my underwear. That tells you I was sodomized and raped by 7 sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, first crew. So, with that in mind, they say, well, we're going to give you an honorable discharge, but we're going to sign here. I just signed. Bill Apgar, they gave me a personality disorder. So, not just me, thousands of other veterans. So that's what I say. I should be paid back to the time of discharge for a personality disorder, for the misdiagnosis. Should have had a disability rating on the date of discharge. But the government, I don't know. The government. Who's driving the Uncle Sam bus? It's people that I don't want driving it right now. I can tell you who's driving it. The people that want you to chew the social experiment bubble gum, that's for sure. You know, the people that want you to chew that gum are the same people. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm for everybody, but yeah, if the government's going to pay for Bob to be with Bob, the government's going to pay for Bob to turn himself into Barbara, the government's going to pay for Bob to
Brad Manning.
Yeah, how many more years do I have to be humiliated? How many more years do I have to go without getting fully compensated?
Yeah.
It makes me mad. It makes me angry, and it gets me in trouble for being a lot angry. So if you could pray for me, I'd really appreciate that.